Have you ever gotten into a fight with your significant other over something really stupid? Or do you find yourself getting irritated, angry, or anxious over really little things? In this video, we're going to talk all about why and what you can do to try to curb that. Welcome to the Richer Life Counseling YouTube channel. I'm Tyler Rich, a marriage and family therapist. This channel is all about providing help with relationships, mental health, and anything in between. If you like this video, go on and hit subscribe and share it with your friends. So one of the things that I've noticed a lot with clients that I work with is that we tend to get into arguments and cycles, and there's patterns in our life where we find ourselves feeling angry, anxious, depressed, or certain feelings that consistently come up. And they're not necessarily comfortable. It's not like emotions or aspects of ourselves that we like, but it's just something that tends to come up. Some clients feel really annoyed a lot of the time. Sometimes we feel frustrated a lot of the times. Sometimes we just become anxious a lot of the times. And there's actually probably a good reason for that. But to do that, we have to kind of tone it back, and I want to share a story of how I kind of came up with understanding this. When I was in grad school, I would leave my house about 6 a.m. I'd go work out, I'd go work in my full-time job, I would go to school, I might be interning some days. I was a very, very, very busy guy. And I would leave the house 6 a.m., maybe get home 7, 8, 9 p.m. most days of the week. So it was exhausting. I was stressed out. I was worried about all the things that I was doing and having to learn and having to get good grades. It was really a tough time in my life. But I found myself coming home continuously and picking a fight with my partner. Why would I do that? Why would I come home and get so angry and so irritated about the dishes? On my days off, the dishes would sit in there and they wouldn't irritate me at all. But for some reason, when I was gone and I'd come home and something wasn't done, I would get angry and irritated. And then that would lead to a fight, which then would lead to more disconnection and just not feeling happy in my life and even more stress. So it became this cycle that I found myself in of just getting irritated with little things around the house. It started with the dishes, it was the chores, then it wasn't dusting. Like, it was a lot of little things that normally wouldn't bother me at all. Having a few dishes in the sink, normally not a big deal to me. However, when I was in grad school and I was so busy, it was becoming this huge trigger point. So I had to figure out what was going on. And one of the things I recognized is my anger was a reaction to something deeper. So what I would like you to think of is that's a secondary emotion. When we're feeling something and it's a reaction to maybe another emotion we're feeling, it's called a secondary emotion. That underlying emotion is called a primary emotion. The primary emotions are the ones that we inherently feel in a situation. They are really legitimate, true feelings, ones that tend to be more vulnerable, ones that tend to be more uncomfortable for us. Even though anger and irritation and anxiety are uncomfortable emotions that we don't like to feel, sometimes it's actually safer for us to feel those than to be vulnerable and share something underneath. So we have these primary and secondary emotions. When we feel these primary emotions that come in, we don't want to feel them, right? I don't want to feel overwhelmed. I don't want to feel sad. I don't want to feel scared. So I get angry or I get irritated. And that secondary emotion, generally what happens is that pushes people away. That's when we tend to see clients come into therapy with me, is they're pushing each other away. They're having a lot of these secondary emotions because they can't risk the vulnerability of being in that primary emotion. We have these primary emotional reactions. Something happens and we immediately feel it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Sometimes we're sad, sometimes we're feeling shame, sometimes it's guilt, sometimes it could be anxiety, sometimes it could be anger. Like, those can all be real core primary emotions. What happens though is when we're unable to be vulnerable, when we don't want to sit with them, we have another emotion come in on top of it, kind of to protect us, that pushes people away. That's our secondary emotion. When we live in secondary emotion, we are living not authentically. What's a better way to say that? When we're living in our secondary emotion, we are pushing people away. We are not connecting. We are not living maybe the life that we want to live. And it takes a lot of work to own that deeper emotion and figure out what that need is. So for my case, I was so stressed out. I was overwhelmed, and I wanted to come home and relax and have support from my partner. So instead of coming home and saying that, I would get angry and fight about the dishes, not getting my need met. This is the problem with secondary emotions, is most of the time when we live in them, we're not getting our deep needs met. We're just kind of going through a cycle. We're trying awfully hard to get those needs met, but it's not working. But when I was able to stop being in my secondary anger emotion, and I was being able to come down and sit in this vulnerable spot of saying, I'm overwhelmed, I'm stressed out, I need help, I just want to come home and connect, and it's hard for me to connect right now when it feels like there's all these other things that need to get done. Can you please help me with that? Surprisingly, when I embraced that vulnerability of feeling overwhelmed and asking for help, my partner was able to deliver. And that doesn't always happen, and if you do risk that vulnerability, not every person is going to be able to meet your needs the way you need them to. But that is going to be a safer bet. That's going to risk more. You're going to be able to find more connection in risking vulnerability with these uncomfortable emotions. One of the questions I tend to ask my clients a lot in session is when they're like, I'm irritated or I'm anxious or I'm this. I'm like, peel that back. What's underneath it? That is a secondary emotion. What's underneath? What's that deep primary emotion? And when you're at home, think about that. What primary emotion can you get into? What primary emotion can you risk vulnerability with? And do you know what that need is to that primary emotion? That's all great work that I help clients with all the time. And I hope that you can start thinking that way so you can avoid getting angry in traffic, getting angry with your boss, getting irritated, getting anxious, all these really uncomfortable emotions. Dive deep. What's underneath that? So that's all that I have in this video. What I would love for you to do is leave some comments about maybe some uncomfortable emotions or any type of stories about this type of scenario that you faced in your life. If this video has been helpful, go on and share it with anybody and give it a big thumbs up, and we'll have a new video next week. Thank you so much for watching this video. You can check out my website. If you live in the Las Vegas area and love counseling, you can feel free and give me a call by finding me on my website. You can also check out other videos that I've published on emotions and other topics. So you guys have a good one. Bye.